So right on the top, is our phone eavesdropping in our conversations? Are our conversations really private? Active listening software, is it spying on us? We'll take a deeper look at that. This is after a report confirms that there is a firm that is using tech to capture what we're saying and then giving us targeted ads.
All right, let's begin the program today by talking about something that often sort of runs on our mind. Imagine you sort of chatting about your dream holiday, imagining mountain air, stunning views, only to find out that suddenly your phone is bombarded with ads of those exact destinations. Or maybe you've mentioned in passing to a colleague about how elusive sleep has been lately, only to figure out that Instagram feed will now be throwing you ads of sleep gummies, even melatonin. And I'm sure you've now wondered that what's happening here? Is my phone listening to me? Is my phone eavesdropping? And you might not be wrong. A recent report suggests that our concerns could be more than just paranoia.
Okay, so this is a report that's come out from 404 Media, and it specifically says that an organization called Cox Media has privately admitted, this is in a pitch deck that the organization made, they said that they have an active listening software that can use AI to capture real-time intent data. Essentially, it is listening into our conversations. And then the group goes so far as to say that the data can then be paired with behavioral data to fine-tune targeted ads. Now, tech giants like Google, Amazon, they are listed as clients of CMG, but they've denied involvement altogether with this program. Meta, which remember owns Facebook and Instagram, they've publicly asserted that Meta does not use your phone's microphone for ads, and we've been transparent about this for years.
But the company in question here is Cox Media, and Cox Media has clarified that they haven't listened to conversations directly from people's phone. What are they saying? They claim that they only access third-party aggregated, sort of anonymized and fully encrypted data sets. Yet the third-party data often comes from smartphone apps that capture information based on user consent, sort of buried in all those terms and conditions that you don't have an option but to say accept.
Right, and there's actually been studies that show that 91% of people don't even read the terms and conditions that come with any product. And that number actually goes up to 97% when you look at a younger age demographic. So how much better is any of this? And if this technology exists, are other apps using it without our knowledge? How do virtual assistants like Siri, Alexa differ from these other apps that are using our voices? And crucially, we thought it's obviously important to ask, how do you go about all of this information? What can you do to safeguard your privacy, and what is actually helpful for machines to know?
So what exactly is helpful to understand from experts? And we are joined by two of them. Shekhar Pawar, he's the founder of SecureClaw. And also with us this morning is a cybersecurity expert, Jitin Jain. Good morning, gentlemen. Jitin, I just want to start by bringing you in. Not very long ago, we did an episode where we spoke about data privacy is a myth. And this perhaps is the first time world has evidence that it indeed is the case. This is Cox Media, and it's working with these big giants. It's accepting on record. And just if the viewers weren't clear, they actually went to companies to pitch, to say that this is what we will get, this is how you can make your ads, and this is how it's going to happen. So it's not a surprise to you, I'm sure, but what do you have to say to this?
Good morning, guys. No, it's not a surprise, because I think almost 4 to 5 years ago, there were a couple of reports about a few companies across the world, including one in Bangalore, which was basically assisting advertisement companies with the voice data to make their ads more precise and more accurate. Now, it has been happening, I think, on Google from last 5 to 6 years. Even all of you, we can go to our Google settings, and during the advertisement option, there is a option to see that do you want to be shown ads based on your voice behavior, and in the history, you can also see your own voice samples collected over years of 3-second clips. Now, how do they select those particular 3 seconds? Nobody knows, but you will find many clips. Like if your phone has the setting on right now, you would be able to hear some words like privacy, what to do, smartphones, those captured 3 seconds of your audio in that, library. So I think, see, understand, these companies have for long have been using voice as the precise medium to analyze your behaviors, show you more precise ads, and that is the reason that there've been many conversations in last many years where people have discussed that, oh, I was discussing about a car, I was discussing about a luxury watch, and suddenly I start seeing those same ads over Google and Facebook. Now the question is, are Google and Facebook listening? The simplest answer they might give is no. Technically and legally, they are right because they have outsourced the entire operations to a second company like Google Ad Services or Meta Ad Services. That company, in fact, has outsourced, the precision mechanism of advertisement to another third company like Cox Media, what you're talking about. Now, Cox Media has further said they are also using a third-party library to anonymize your conversations and analyze it without actually listening to them in real time. So what they're saying that even if I'm listening 3 seconds late, technically it's not real time. So legally and technically they're right. It may not be real time, even if it is 3 seconds late. It may be a delayed listening or recording. They may be listening to different snippets. The machine may be recording everything live, but deleting it, not storing it, except for the important keywords, and then saving only them for the precision advertisement. Now, the problem is there is a user consent available for this? Legally, they may say, yes, we made you click on certain tick box and you agree to it. But the question should be, is there is an informed consent? And I raise this question again and again during the WhatsApp. It should be informed consent in this age. That if there is an informed consent you have taken from the user to collect his voice, to do whatever you want, advertisement, show him samples, then it is fine. Otherwise, I think it is pure exploitation of technology to innovate privacy to the maximum. And this is not the first time Google or Facebook have done it. Uber was doing it. I mean, you would not remember, 3 years ago, Uber was caught listening to your conversations live. Even after 20 seconds, you had left the cab. Now, when they were caught doing this, they were asked, how are you able to do this? Because this can only be done on iPhone if you have a super administrative privilege available, which only Apple can give. And incidentally, it was found that Uber is the only company which got that access approved from Apple. Now, when they were caught pants down, and the reasoning they came up with that, look, there's so many female travelers who travel in the cabs. For their safety, we try and track their location and voice. Even after 15 minutes, they have left the cab so that we are able to ensure they are safe. So you could come up with any excuse and reason and pretext and context to do an activity. But if you look bare thread, I think it is a complete invasion of privacy to the maximum.
Okay, just Jitin, stay with us because you've just given us so much context, frankly, some horrifying stories over there. Let's just go over to Shekhar to understand this next question. Shekhar, a lot of the examples we often hear about, even this Cox Media example, it comes primarily from the United States. The involved organizations, their headquarters are out of the United States. For our audiences who are trying to think through this entire story, how global is it? And by that I mean, of course, our apps are listening to us here too. But legally, are there different laws that protect Indians, different laws that protect those from other countries? How should we think through it?
So, look, these apps are actually using natural language processing, NLP. And it is an advanced AI technology and algorithms are being used to manipulate the sentiment of the person, the intent of speech, and it is able to understand pronunciation differences. Suppose someone is calling me Shekhar rather than Shekhar. So it is able to understand like the same person is being called while it is getting recorded. And it is actually real time converting the voice into text. And as we already using many applications on our mobile devices, and we are in the world of gadgets. So starting from our wristwatch is digital, and we are using Alexa and many devices. So it is a combined ecosystem which is now getting built. And I always say like it is kind of earlier the nations were powered as a nuclear weapons, right? Now they are powered with the data or information of other countries. And if you look at the applications properly, hardly any applications are innovated or being hosted in India. Many of the applications are in China or other countries. And data is being collected constantly. And that is why the WhatsApp kind of company was getting a good value and returns. I will go in a little bit deeper as we are all using, say, digital wristwatches. So digital wristwatches is actually having x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, and it is actually constantly tracking your body movement, your step count, your step size, your hand movements, and it is also calculating many things like your private information such as sexual activities. And that's why now many wristwatch companies are promoting you should wear your wristwatch during even sleep, to check your sleep pattern and to avoid any heart attack. So it is very important to understand how much privacy concerns or how much private information shall we share with these gadgets and this ecosystem. Coming to the question which you asked, there is a digital data DPDP Act which India has launched in August 2023, which got passed in Parliament. And according to that, in India, the digital privacy of the data is very important, and yet it is not yet properly implemented. That's why we are still not able to avoid the spam calls and many things, but it is in phase to get implemented. And after that, there will be many aspects like the proper consent to be taken by the users who are giving data or giving permission to the applications, where the data can be hosted. If you are using Indian data, then it should be hosted in India, and backups should be also in India. Then the biometric data collection restrictions. So like voice is also one of the biometric data, and the pulse rate which we are giving to the applications, constantly monitoring our oxygen level and many things. So those are also part of such private data. So there are acts coming in picture, and it is getting evolved. And I guess soon it will be applicable even in India.
Okay. So Jitin, then basically privacy died a long time ago, and nothing is off limits for advertisers. Because if you go back to the study, the presentation actually by Cox Media did not specify, did not limit it to phones. They've taken it to TVs, smart TVs, smart speakers. So it's not just your phone, it's any electronic device around you which has the capacity to take instructions. It's also listening in to everything that you don't tell them.
Of course, otherwise, how would a device like Alexa or Siri would get trained over voice data of the live conversations, of the new contexts, new events? This is how it happens, because the collective conversations, Alexa does that all the while, and that is why they're able to provide police with the voice recordings or voice samples of, in many cases, to investigate. So see, if it is a tablet or a TV, obviously they'll do it, because again, they have the same operating system, Android or Mac OS, the Mac TV, Apple TV. And then there are other devices which are assistive devices like Alexa and all. They also collect samples. So I think for any voice assistant to work, for any targeted advertisement to work based on voice, you need to collect real-time data and samples to make it more, accurate. And that can only be, done if you have the access to live data available across different geographies, different cultures, different dialects, different pronunciation. That is how it happens. Now the point is, are they legally allowed? I think no. And in India, in a country like India, where we have a digital data protection act, but the rules are not yet implemented. So it's a free-for-all field, because technically there is nothing which prohibits this company. So once the rules are notified in this act, then probably we might be able to have some legal recourse to stop these companies to use our data without our consent. Till then, if Sonal Malhotra is getting angry or Toya is getting angry, and then your pulse rates are going high using Apple Watch, tomorrow you might be getting ads about relaxation pills or calm holidays. So this will all happen. So even Apple Watch might be collecting the data, and they might be using it for different purposes. So I think that is where we are. There is no holds bar field for all that these words are available.
Okay. Can we just ask you, Jitin and Shekhar, we'll come to you, Jitin, first, but this is actually for both of you. Just tell our audiences, firstly, what are you both using device-wise? And on your own phones, what have you allowed, what have you not allowed? And I want to shape this for our audiences who are watching right now, who have their phones next to them. What can they shut off in this moment?
See, personally, for Google and Facebook, we have removed all voice permissions to calls and mics. Two, even if you go to Google settings, there is a section in settings about the advertisement where I have said that please delete my unique advertisement ID. I do not want to be shown any ads based on my preference, activity, or behavior. And that includes voice. So if you switch that off, Google will say, oh, you might get some random ads, not the ads you would like to see, or not the ads you want to reach. But that is what you say, that if you don't want to, delete a unique Google ID, don't want to see any ads based on your behavior, pattern, or this thing, then they will not collect your voice. Otherwise, they will. Now, same goes for Facebook. Just switch off your activity about which is an advertisement. You're good to go. This is what you can do, at least officially, in the settings of those operating systems and apps. But if they're doing it, despite of that, behind the back, nobody can stop them, because technically in their applications, they've taken all permissions which you have given to do anything which normally a user can do. There is no permission available on Android or Mac operating system which these apps have not taken. They have anything and everything under the sun to carry out any activity.
Shekhar, have you done similar things to what Jitin just said?
Yeah, actually, look, there are many settings like cross-site tracking on any browser on your mobile devices should be turned off, because it is actually using cookies and many different parameters to pixel and many different parameters to actually send you customized advertise. It is actually reading that data if you are allowing that setting. Other than that, if you check the meta settings on your Facebook or any such applications, you will actually see there is a option given like are you able where the meta is able to share your data to the third parties. You need to turn off that if you don't want to share your private information to the third parties for the advertisement purpose. Apart from that, I always say you should treat your mobile device as a person. It is having a camera, it is able to see you, it is having the geolocation facility, it is able to track you when you are going to office, when you are coming back, where you are going, are you walking, are you sleeping, whatever, it is getting tracked. Apart from that, it is actually listening you and it is talking to you in terms of the advertise and other parameters. So it is always better to treat that as a person and keep your private life away from the mobile devices, because even though you will try many things, you will turn off the camera, you will turn off the microphone, still there are few technical terminologies like which can be used to track your activities. Like there is an accelerometer in the Apple device, which is actually calculating the vibrations of the devices. And suppose four of us are traveling by a car and the car is having same vibrations, and if any one of us is having the privacy settings which are not actually restricting a lot of data, then the vibratometer actually able to see that four of us are actually traveling in the same car, because the same vibrations are getting calculated and are getting stored on the cloud. So there are many such open gaps. We can only reduce the attack surface that is only in our hand. We can't say we are 100% privacy protected.
Okay, so Jitin Jain, then it brings us to this question, which we, while you were saying switch this off, I tried doing some of it on my phone, real time. And it meant that now if I go to my Instagram, because I've switched off my microphone, that means I can't do any recordings, I can't speak to Instagram. Because I've switched it on my WhatsApp, that means I can't send any voice notes. So this is the cost that you're actually paying for privacy, which is what really impacts people, which is why they fall into this trap. So the question is simple. What are we doing with our phones? There seems to be no way out.
So you could say that I want to use microphone only while using this app. Instead of never and all the time, you could select the settings in between which says that only while using this app. So at least only when you're scrolling the Instagram, they'll be able to listen to your voice if you're speaking at all, not all the time. But in Google and Facebook, this option is available in the settings to disable targeted advertisements. I think you could do that. Third, I want to tell you, Sonal, I mean, like for context of Indian audiences in Hindi, पुराने जमाने में ना हर सेठ जी के पास एक खास आदमी होता था हर गलत काम करने के लिए. To take bribes, to bribe other people, to carry out killings and marpeet. Seth Ji was always a good guy. Seth Ji will never have any police case against him. There'll always be some khas aadmi who will take all the blame. Like, kuch accident ho gaya to driver ban ke produce ho jayega. These third-party companies are the same. Those khas guys popped up by these very companies, given business by these very companies, to in a way shift the attribution, shift the blame. Tomorrow, if they're caught, to avoid damages and throw all the blame onto these third-party companies. So, see, today the digital advertisement business is dominated only by two companies in the world: Meta, Amazon and Google. Google has almost 70% of the advertisement market captured in the digital sense. All you see is Google ads on all the websites, including NDTV. Then there is Meta, Facebook, and then there is Amazon on some portals. Collectively, if these three people decide to fund some technology and use it and exploit it, trust me, no third-party company can pop up this technology and use it without their blessings and their business and their money. So it is all done to whitewash their sins and protect themselves legally and throw all the blame to a third party. And in all reality, in all practical sense, this third party is actually just an extension of them popped up by their own money and consent and blessing.
Yeah.
So
but Jitin, the point is that it's often spoken about as an open secret in the room, but yet we have no legal action, yet we don't know which way this is going to go, and that is what the scary part is. And as much as fascinating it is to talk to the both of you, it is very scary as well. So perhaps we'll do a part 2 of this conversation and just understand how, if at all, it is possible to safeguard yourself. Jitin and Shekhar, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You than your spouse. Google today knows more about you than your spouse.
Another horrifying statement, Jitin. Thank you for joining us, both of you. I thought that Sage metaphor you gave right in the beginning about companies that we should think of as Sages, other companies that are doing the biddings of the Sages, that was a very, very helpful metaphor. Let's head into a quick break right now.